Hey everybody, it's Reggie with Lawyer Interviews. Today we are talking with Cara out of Tampa, Florida. How are you, Cara?
I'm doing great. How are you? Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you for being here. We're just so excited for you to come on because also you are like literally one of my favorite TikTokers. The TikTok law is like well and alive, and I gotta say, like, yours is hilarious, like on point, and I just love the girl boss. Like, it's
Oh,
so
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I love yours too.
funny.
I love that we were able to connect through this.
I love it too. I completely. So, Cara, tell us a little bit about you, what you practice, and kind of where jurisdictionally you practice.
Okay, a little bit about me. I went to UF Law. I've been practicing for about 3.5 years, but I took an extended route there because I was a paralegal for about 10 years before going to law school, and did primarily family law, thought that I would never practice family law, but then practiced almost exclusively family law for the first few years of my practice. And now I do a lot of probate and guardianship work as well. So I'm administering estates and probate cases, then also handling guardianships, or what a lot of people know as conservatorships as well, which has
Right.
obviously become really popularized with what Brittany Spears has been going through, very
Mhm.
public in the media. So I handled those types of matters as well.
So, with the Brittany Spears case, I mean, how closely did you follow that? I mean, that was just kind of one of those crazy cases. I mean, I've never heard anything like it. I mean, for you in your area, was it kind of a big topic of conversation?
It really was. And there was also the Netflix movie that had come out as well that really talked about the professional guardian or conservators that put a highlight on this in kind of short order of what was going on with Britney Spears, or at least what had started publicly happening with Britney Spears. I had been following that case. I was a Britney Spears fan. I grew up with Britney Spears.
Same.
And so I was following that before things really became publicized. But then when it started getting out in the media more and what was going on with her father, I definitely was following it super closely. And I loved Heather, the lawyer, who's on TikTok as well. She was doing near daily updates where she was kind of debriefing the documents that were filed. So I didn't have to go and download the documents from California. I could just go on TikTok with Heather, the lawyer, and see what was going on with the case.
Absolutely. I mean, that's one of those situations that, I mean, it was everywhere, and there was so much information coming in because there was just so much that was found out about, like, this 15-year period of conservators. I'm just like, that is so long. Like, it was a ride. Like, reading some of that, I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, it was really disturbing, especially having so much knowledge and obviously experience in that area. To see what had gone on was quite disturbing.
I mean, I completely agree. I'd love to know what got you interested in, family law, conservatorships. Like, what, I mean, was that something you wanted to do, or did you fall into that after law school?
So it was something I had done as a paralegal, and I swore it off because it was so dramatic and emotionally taxing to bring home and to deal with. But my parents were divorced and had a very kind of stereotypical divorce of my dad had me every other weekend, and I was kind of pitted against parents when it came to finances. And it was something that was very traumatic for me growing up, and I saw other people go through it. And in my own practice, something that I really strive to not engage in. I don't tolerate parents being bad actors in a situation when there are minor children involved. I don't tolerate using a child as a pawn. I kind of sniff that out really quickly, and I don't like engaging in that. And so my goal, even though I represent a party, I represent a husband or a wife or a mother or a father, my goal is really I take counselor at law very seriously and help them through what is a very difficult area in their life and is highly emotional. I'm divorced myself and have two small children, and have had to navigate the co-parenting relationship with my ex-husband. And it's something I'm very passionate about, that I want people to be able to divorce well. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, the ending of a family. It's just a kind of rebrand.
Mhm.
and
I love that.
moving
I love that.
forward with, you know, your children, because you are still going to share children with this person. And people say, oh, you know, I have to deal with them until they're 18. No, you have to deal with them for the rest of their lives, because
It's a life commitment once you have kids.
yeah, there will be weddings. You're going to have, you know,
Yeah.
hopefully you'll be blessed to have grandkids, and you don't want to be in a position where you can't be, both of you can't be invited to go to the graduation or the grandchild's birthday party. And so things like that really color my experience. And then I lost my dad a few years ago. I went through the probate process with him and dealing with those items. And again, estate planning is so important to me. I really tried to drive that point home to people, that it doesn't matter if you don't have, you know, a house or assets right now, you never know what can happen. I always use the example that, yes, you might not have anything now, but what if you were in a car accident and a Coca-Cola truck hits you and now your estate is worth $5 million? What would you want to happen with that money?
Right.
Especially if you have children. That's a huge thing. And so just my personal experiences have really colored my perspective on the law and how I want to practice and how I want to actually help people.
I love that. And you know, you saying your personal experiences and stuff. I mean, I'm guilty too. Like, there are so many lawyers out there who, I don't have a will. I don't have it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even people in the field don't have it. It is, you know, I'm like, I really should. I really should get on this. And it's surprising to me when I run into other attorneys, like, I don't have a will either. And I'm like, what? How do you're an attorney. You're supposed to be responsible. Do you
Shame on you.
Yeah.
We'll talk after this. We'll find somebody to draft that for you.
Okay, perfect. Do you find that though, like other people who just like, you're just so surprised that either professionally or whatever, they're coming in like at a late time to really handle their affairs? Or do you believe people
all
come
the time
in at a good time? You know, when
I see it all the time, and it's usually, unfortunately, and for me, and obviously what I do for a living affects this, but so often I have people who have never done estate planning until they have a loved one pass away who didn't have estate planning, and they see what that looks like to deal with it, because you're not, and this is the way I look at it, is you're going to have loved ones, family, friends, whomever in your life who are going to be mourning your death.
Right.
And whatever the circumstances may be, whether it was, you know, a long disease or a freak accident, people are going to be very emotional about your passing.
Right.
Why put such an administrative burden on someone who is already dealing with such a heavy issue, like dealing with the passing of a friend or family member?
Right.
And the estate planning to me is, besides just what happens to your money and figuring that out if you have kids, etc., it's really a sign of respect to the people in your life that you want to get ahead of what could happen and anticipate those issues. It's, to me, it's kind of like doing a prenup. I think that a prenup is good practice. You're deciding that you care enough about somebody now that when you marry them, you don't want to be fighting about these things down the road when you might not be in such a good position.
Right.
So by doing estate planning, you're getting ahead of this idea that there may be quarrels, there may be money issues, there may be fractures within a family, and you're mitigating whatever issues may occur, including not allowing somebody's emotions to override an administrative decision potentially because they're dealing with this serious trauma and grief.
1,000%. And I can't think of, even just in my own life, I know so many people who've had the estate problem where, you know, nothing's in set, and it breaks families apart. I mean, I've seen it happen, and it is sad. So, you know, having a governing document, like you said, to instruct and just make it seamless, you're still probably going to end up with some fights, but man, when there's something not there, I'm sure that is just awful for clients.
I think the biggest thing is having a black and white document that states what somebody's wishes were is just helpful. Whether they like it or not, knowing that their mom wanted Sally to have the car and Johnny to have the Rolex or whatever the case may be, just having that laid out, because you can't be mad then at your sibling when it was your mother's wishes.
Right.
And just having that document makes it so much easier. And again, there's probably going to still be arguments, but I would say probably, you know, 80 to 90% of my litigated cases end up being that there were adult children that were not the spouse's children. So it's a
Okay.
step parent,
Mhm.
surviving step parent, and adult children. And that relationship always ends up going awry when
Mhm.
there's not estate planning documents, because obviously one believes that they're deserving and the other does not. And
Right.
that's when I see most of those, or between siblings. The other 15 to 20% of those cases are just between siblings. And it's really sad to see.
Yeah. I mean, it's sad, and it's one of those things that's highly emotional. And I'd love to ask you about this as well. I think in my personal experience, I don't do family law, but I think it's probably the most dramatic as far as, I mean, you're dealing with people's dramatic as in like the seriousness probably to the clients that, you've got kids, money, property, spouse. How do you deal with that kind of level of intensity with your clients? I mean, they're probably going through maybe some of the worst moments of their lives, whether it's death or divorce or whatever. How do you deal with these really, really hard life issues and being an attorney and counseling?
I think honestly, before I got divorced, I used to always scoff at the notion that you couldn't be a good divorce attorney without having gone through that.
Right.
Because I think that I was a great divorce attorney before I was divorced,
Mhm.
especially, and maybe because I'm the child of divorce. And so I had a different lens that I could see that through. But I do think that so much of what I do is based in my ability to empathize with my clients. And so when there is that high level of intensity and they may be frustrated or upset, et cetera, at least I have some personal experience that I can then glean information on the situation of, hey, listen, I dealt with the same situation, or I don't always get along with my ex-husband, or there are issues with my children or the finances, et cetera. I've dealt with it all. And I can also look at it from the perspective of putting myself in the shoes of their child, because my parents were divorced. Of, hey, you don't want your kids to think this or do this or perceive this. And so I certainly think that so much of my ability to be effective with my clients is my ability to empathize with them because of my experiences.
Right.
Not everyone has gone through that same set of experiences, and it certainly doesn't bar someone, from being effective or good counsel because they haven't had those life experiences. But I at least think that from the client management standpoint, it's a huge help that I can discuss my personal circumstances with them, that I've gone through this too, and I'm on the other side and we're all fine.
Right, right. The whole perspective. And I love that you can, like you said, you can talk to them about your experiences from, kid to grown up, having gone and watched it all. What's the difficult part though? I mean, when you're dealing with clients, what do you find difficult when you are dealing with, this stressful kind of area?
I think the most difficult part is the dealing with the need for constant communication. I think that it is an area of law that clients need probably the most handholding, because as you stated, you're dealing with so many heavy issues. You're dealing with finances, you're dealing with kids, you're dealing with property, potentially businesses, and there's a lot that goes into it. It's literally your entire life is encapsulated into this proceeding.
Mhm.
And so I think that people get very paranoid. They need a very high level of understanding. And I do sometimes absolutely take for granted my knowledge base in this, because from my perspective, so much of family law is kind of common sense.
Mhm.
And I obviously am tasked with explaining some of these issues that I think are easy that other people may not.
Right.
And so that need for the constant reassurance or communication, and the constant asking of questions, I think is at a different level than it is in other areas of law, even in my other practice areas, even in probate or guardianship, which are also fairly quote unquote needy areas. But definitely the divorce cases, the paternity cases, those take on a whole other level of need for communication.
Right, right. I mean, and with social media, I mean, do you find clients will reach out to you in various different methods, or I mean, is it pretty much still like email and phone, or have they found you on social media and been like, hey, lawyer.
I haven't, so I've only had, I don't make it a habit of becoming social media friends with my clients. I don't want to say my social media is difficult to find, and I certainly don't try to make it difficult to find, but I don't accept friend requests from current clients on Facebook. Obviously my TikTok and my Instagram are public. It's not very easy to find those. So I haven't had current clients. I have certainly had people find me and say, hey, I want to hire you. So I'm going to send you a message on Instagram or TikTok or something like that. But I have not, thankfully, had an issue of current clients kind of trying to circumvent my email or my paralegal to get at me, so to speak.
Right.
But I anticipate it could certainly happen in the future.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of, wonder with that too. Communication is just, there's so many ways to get a hold of someone now. We're all being watched somewhere by some app.
Yep.
Well, I'd love to also talk to you because you're the first mom we've had on here, and I'm a mom too, but I would love to hear, like, do you have any hacks for like that work-life balance of being mom?
There are no hacks. It's all hard. I mean, for me, it's interesting because I have 50-50 time sharing with my kids. I have set days that I have them. And because of that, I'm able to create workarounds in my schedule. It does pose difficulties though, too, because for me, it is, if I have a mediation and I know it's going to go all day and they're trying to schedule it on a day that I have my kids, I'm open to do it, but I have to tell them I have a hard stop because I have to pick up my daughter by this time from after school care. And so it does create some more limitations for me. It seems like it would open me up more since I only have them half the time, but then obviously my weeks are more confined. I actually find it easier than when I was married, though.
Yeah.
Because I don't have to work around somebody else's schedule now.
Right.
Or worry about somebody else's desires or needs in their, career and what they have going on. But I try to maximize the time. And so I love my time in the car with them. We play the animal game. We play I Spy. We do fun things, in the car. I talk about their days with them. And that's something that I know a lot of people see that as like dead time, like a commute. But I just really try to maximize that because on my short weeks, when I only have them for 2 days, that commute time to and from, and then, a short time of the bedtime routines in the evenings, I don't get a lot of time with them.
Right.
And so I really try to maximize that. So, I mean, I don't know if you want to call, my hack is, Lunchables and ordering pizza and, Kraft mac and cheese cups that you throw in the microwave. But
Cheetos is a food group. I'm convinced I'm gonna get hate on that one. Yeah, I mean, no, absolutely. I don't think she's ever seen me bake a real cookie. I don't think I have. So store bought.
And listen, that's fine. That's the thing is, I think that letting go of the idea that I could be 100% in 100% of the areas in my life is the biggest quote hack I could impart on anyone who is either a parent and thinking about going into this field or is in this field and becoming a parent, or even thinking about, I don't know if I can leave my relationship or my spouse because I don't think that I could do this on my own. I think that idea that you're going to be the best mom, the best school mom, the best attorney, the best boss, the best leader, the best community service worker, you can have it all, but you can't have it all at once.
Perfect. I love that. That's 1,000% the best way to look at it.
There is no such thing as work-life balance. There just isn't.
Right.
We've
asked it. I'm like, no one's got it. No one has the answer. But I love hearing that what people do for that kind of well, that gets us into that. What do you kind of do for fun? I mean, aside from spending time with family, like what's a release for you to have some kind of life outside of mom, attorney, worker?
I mean, binge watching Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Potomac, Atlanta, New York, New Jersey.
We just became best friends.
I mean, truly, I love being at home. I'm very much a homebody. I have a very close-knit circle of friends, many of whom don't live near me. And so much of my time then too, because I have that 50-50 with my children, I'm cleaning my house, I'm doing laundry, I'm doing things that I don't want to otherwise occupy my time with when I have my children. I do try to do some of that when I have my kids because I want them to see mommy doing the dishes, doing laundry. It's not always fun. Mommy can't always play with you. There are responsibilities outside of my job that I have in order to take care of them and hopefully raise good humans in that way. But I love that escape. And I used to watch a lot of, true crime and listen to podcasts and really get my brain working on things. And I found in the past couple of years, I just want something easy. I want to watch Below Deck. I want to watch Beverly Hills Housewives. I want to see the wholly frivolous and outlandish lifestyles of other people and what they believe their problems to be.
1,000, their trauma I'm fine getting involved in because I don't have to deal with it. And yeah, you don't have to
always say that my life is so boring, that this is just, this is so much fun to watch. I have drama in my career, so to speak, but that's not mine. That's somebody else's. It's not my family.
Right.
So watching that, I love going out to eat. I love football is my life. I love football.
Who's your team? Teams.
So I don't have like a team. I'm a Gator girl. I went to UF Law. I grew up in Florida. I'm Floridian. I was born and raised in Florida. So as far as college goes, I'm a Gator girl.
Love it.
I was born in Tampa, but lived in Jacksonville for a number of years. So I'm like between, the Jags and the Bucks.
Okay.
I grew up being a Pats fan though, because my dad was in New England. So, but it's been a tough time for them lately.
Yeah, a little bit. Just a little.
Yeah, but I just love football. I love following the college players in the NFL. I will watch Red Zone all day on Sunday so I can catch all of the touchdowns. I will have every college game on Saturdays. I don't even care. I watched Kent State play Northern Illinois the other night on Wednesday, even though it was
you were the only one watching, but yeah.
I love football.
I love it.
So that's my other kind of escape, so to speak.
Right. Well, there's something really cathartic about watching, players tackle each other and fight over a little ball and run, back and forth. It's also kind of cathartic. It's a little picturesque. All right. Well, I thank you so much for joining us. And I really just want to play a couple little fun games with you. So have you ever played the game Shag, Marry, Kill, or F, Marry, Kill? Depending on, okay. So you got to choose one to shag, one to marry, one to kill. Okay. Your three participants are Justice Kavanaugh, Justice Kennedy, and Gorsuch. It's a tough one.
So I think it's going to be controversial.
Oh, we got to hear why too, though. Come on, let's hear it.
I think I would shag Kavanaugh.
All right. He's like a, retired frat boy. I get it.
We know that he has a good time.
Yeah. He likes the party.
Yeah. So, I think I would marry Kennedy and kill Gorsuch.
Oh, there you go. All right. Love it. All right. Okay, now let's ask you another question. Sexiest lawyer ever, in your opinion? Now, they can be a fictional character or, from a movie or a real person. Do you have a sexiest lawyer? Male or female?
Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, in Lincoln Lawyer?
Yeah.
He's fine. All right. Okay, I love it. All right. Okay, now let me ask you one more question and then we will go. Do you have any funny stories of something you've heard that was just crazy in a deposition or in court?
So I don't know how crazy this was, but it was definitely the story that I think that I've ended up telling more often, especially given our unprecedented times. So in family court down where I practice, we have what are called case management conferences,
Mhm.
and they're automatically set, and we call them cattle calls. And so we have a big docket of cases that the judge hears, and they're fairly quick. It's just, hey, have you guys gone to mediation? Are you guys doing what you're supposed to do? Is there anything I can do to help get things moving?
Right.
So there will sometimes be roughly 60 to 80 parties in these Zoom calls, since we're not in person.
Right.
You know, it looks like Hollywood Squares lit up.
Mhm.
And I had a case management conference, and I represented the husband, and his wife was in attendance as well. And these are all, it's public. So you're seeing everybody on the screen. And I get on there, and I'm in front of a fairly conservative judge in my circuit. And my client has a photo of Teletubbies as his background.
Okay. All right. All
And
right.
I sat, I mean, and it was just, and no one said a single word.
Mhm.
And it was hilarious because if you were looking at the screen, it was the judge, his wife right under the judge, and then him right under his wife. And so they were all just in the same shot. And his wife was just so well put together and professional looking and completely and wholly unamused. And he was furiously texting me saying, Cara, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I don't know how to change this. I had a Zoom call last night with buddies from work where we were supposed to have funny backgrounds. I
Those
can't,
cool
hon.
hubbies.
I
Obvious.
don't know what to do. But so we took testimony and conducted a case management conference with my client with Teletubbies behind him.
Yeah, that's I would kind of like to see that.
The ability, I have a photo, I can send you the photo.
Awesome.
The ability of the judge to just keep it together with a straight face. And I for sure thought that she would at least comment on it.
Right.
No, we completely glossed over, ignored the fact that there were Teletubbies hanging out behind him.
1,000%. That is awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. That's a fun story and the perils of Zoom these days.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for joining us. Will you let everyone know where they can find you on social media, your handles, and yeah.
So my TikTok is cl.esq, and my Instagram is caralea.esq.
Well, perfect. Well, thank you, Cara, for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Thanks so much for having me, Reggie. I really appreciate it.